On the Wake Up Radio presents The Center with your host, DC Radical One.
My name is Elijah Lewis. I'm author, motivational speaker. I'm coming to you from the DMV Showcase. Just wanted to take a quick moment to tell you about my book, Your Jewels in Your Journey. This book is all about giving us the tools we need to be our optimal self. What I tell people is that we're all on a journey, and on the journey we learn that life lessons are jewels, but it's also the people that we connect with that inspire us to be better that are jewels. And more importantly, we find out that at the end of the day, you yourself are a jewel. If you don't know who you are, it's hard to know where you're going. But more importantly, it's all about also teaching other people how to do the same once you feel inspired yourself. So if you want to learn more about me and my book, you can go to my website, www.elijahlewis.org. You can check out my book, Book Me for Motivational Speaking. I speak on topics such as freedom from life's addictions, the reality of your vision, and many other things. And also to let you know that during the holiday season, what we're doing is that when you purchase a copy of Your Jewels in Your Journey, 22% of that goes to a veteran that's battling PTSD. So we definitely want to give back to our veterans, especially those who are battling mental health issues. Mental health is very important. So it's always a nice way to give back to those who are less fortunate and who have given to us. So just let you know that this is going toward a worthy cause as well. And speaking of that, I'll take a quick moment to read from one of my book, a chapter from my book rather. This is going to come from chapter 7, which is always give back and help others. When you make it to being your optimal self, you should think about who is coming behind you. Effective leaders don't necessarily have followers, but they're building leaders to come behind them. For this reason, it is important to always give back and help others. By doing this, you're helping the next generation be able to get to their optimal self with the lessons and opportunities you have been given. If you have been given a gift, then you should be able to share that gift with the world. It goes back to when I said you should have a great role model. Well, sometimes you need to be a good role model as well, and that starts by giving back and helping others. So definitely, if you feel inspired, check me out again on my website. Definitely, if you're in the DMV area, I always do pop-up events like this. So shout out to Dr. Chi-Chi. She's hosting the DMV vendor showcase. So definitely come check us out. We'd love to meet you, see how we can help you out. And at the end of the day, continue to be the jewels that you are, and maybe find many jewels on your journey. Thank you.
I'm Russell Lewis. I'm a licensed insurance agent. I'm an independent agent, and I represent a plethora of different insurance carriers, and I offer a variety of insurance products and insurance services, including automobile, motorcycle, boat, general contractors insurance, long-term care, life insurance, motorcycle. Are you a landlord, have rental property? I work with Foremost Insurance to offer landlord insurance, renter's insurance through Progressive Insurance, as you see, which is one of many carriers I represent. Do you need to protect your business vehicle or your truck? Do you have a golf cart? I work with Universal Property and Casualty for your homeowners and property insurance, specific specialty. Does someone in your home or business need someone who speaks Spanish in the insurance carrier? I have carriers who do that. I'm also a licensed mortgage loan officer in the state of Maryland. I'm looking to expand to 4 to 5 other states in this coming year. And I offer a book to my potential clients on how to get the best mortgages. And a second book I offer to licensed realtors to help their clients prepare for the mortgage lending process. Do your clients or your clients need an estate planning program? We have an estate planning software program which I market and assist you with. And again, many carriers I work with in 16 states from New York down to Florida, over to Ohio, Michigan, Arkansas, Texas, and Colorado. North Carolina, South Carolina, Maryland, Virginia, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Alabama, and other states. If you need insurance, give me a call at 443-622-0561. My web address is www.lewisfinancialgroup.net. You can reach me Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. until 6 p.m. And I'm also available on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. I look forward to serving you with all of your insurance needs. Give me a call whenever you're available. Thanks you again. Peace and blessings. Have a great day.
Excuse me. Greetings, friends, family, allies, and enemies, including, of course, the rulers of the current world, the Mossad and associate agencies, and other nefarious forces. I am your host, DC Radical One, and you have entered the center. Shout out to our wonderful producer, Cindy Ashby. Brother, you got ripped off. Can you give me the sound check while I get the music together? And today, we're going to continue our discussion on the Epstein situation. BB48 is Sister Najee. BB48 to Brother, you got ripped off. Thanks to Brother Elijah and Brother I'm drawing a blank. But Brother Elijah and also his father for sponsoring the program. So today we're going to do basically part 2 of what has become our Epstein series. And we're going to talk about something that I talked about before, which is Epstein's connections to Mossad. Now, yeah, I got to excuse my voice. I don't know what's going on. But years ago now, maybe 3-4 years ago, I talked about Epstein's connection to the Mossad. And if you're watching the major media, what they're doing is they're trying everything they can to deny this connection, right? They are basically, the story that I've seen in mainstream media is they're trying desperately to connect Epstein with Putin, and also to connect Trump with Putin, right? And they've been trying this for the Trump with Putin thing for a while. And I actually had an argument with some dude, and he's trying to tell me, and I'm gonna just be honest, and I don't mean no disrespect to nobody. Most of these people don't know jack diddly. All right, I'm just to say that they just got onto this stuff maybe a year ago at the most, and then they want to argue with you about stuff they've been talking about. Really, when Brother Jenny started investigating the Pizzagate thing 10 years ago, that's when a lot of this stuff started coming up on our radar, right? Far as I said, does the Bohemian Grove connect to the hacks? Simple answer, yes. Excuse me. This is the basic, easiest way I can say it for people. Most of the secret societies that you hear about, some type of way, were either started or infiltrated by Rothschild connected forces, or later Mossad connected forces, including the CIA itself. So some, like I was talking with a guy, and I was saying, we were talking about the Masonic different organizations. I said, look at the language in the Masonic organizations where they talk about Harem of Bith and Solomon's Temple and all that stuff. Where does that come out of? Like it's showing you right there. You know what I'm saying? Once I broke that stuff down, he was like, never knew that. I was like, yeah, of course, because first of all, the Masons ain't supposed to tell you what you know. Second of all, the Masons don't know. You know what I'm saying? They get the information they get, but they don't get the root of the information. right? So what we're going to talk about today, just to recap, kind of a recap, partial recap, is we're just going to show the absolute connections between Epstein and the Mossad, and then we'll go from there. The reason it is important is because the number one thing that I see them trying to do is disconnect Epstein from Israel, and specifically intelligence services, because then it leads you up the ladder to bigger and bigger people. Because realistically, if you connect Epstein to intelligence services here and in Israel, then that means the government or someone in the government knew what was going on and decided to protect him, which means that the government, this exposes the fact that the government is involved in child sex trafficking, the same way we know that the government was involved in drug trafficking going back to the 70s, really, at least the 70s, maybe the 60s, but at least the 70s, right? So for those who haven't watched the show, I talked about, I don't even know how many years ago, but I talked about Gary Webb, the Dark Alliance thing, and the CIA, and Danilo Blandone, and all that stuff. And he was connected to the CIA, right? And I showed the press conference and all that stuff that happened 30 years ago, where the CIA had to come up there and act like they ain't know nothing because they put in a new CIA director. Then they asked him a bunch of questions, but of course he don't know nothing because he's the new CIA director, right? That same playbook of what they call it, plausible deniability. That's the word, right? Plausible deniability. This is a similar play that they're running right now with Epstein, Mossad, Israel, all of that. So from what I've seen, mainstream media is trying to tell us, they're trying desperately, and I should have looked up one of the articles, desperately trying to tell us that he's connected to Putin. They don't even say he's connected to, I don't even, what Russian intelligence, does KGB still exist? I don't even know. But they don't try to say he's connected to Russian intelligence. They try to connect him directly with Putin while providing zero evidence. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that has no connection to Putin, but I'm saying I haven't seen no evidence. But you know what? I seen 100 pictures of him and Trump. I seen pictures of him and Clinton. So it ain't like something where people are like, oh, it's the Democrats or it's the Republicans. No, I seen them with both. I seen them with what's his name? Bill Gates, Prince Andrew, you know what I'm saying? All these other people, and then people that they won't let us know about. We seen that. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't seen no pictures of him and Putin nowhere at all. You know what I'm saying? So I say all that to say is that they're obviously, and of course, the media, we know who owns the media, so it's no shock. But it's an obvious attempt to just misdirect people and get them all confused. Here's the reality of the situation. This is what they're trying to avoid in the long run. In America, people are divided by class, politics, race, gender, religion, various weird sexualities. I mean, you hear an argument from every group of people except for, and they probably have this argument, people that got children, people that don't. Like, that's the only argument I haven't heard. Different generations, the younger generation don't respect the older generation. They claim that the older generation don't respect the younger generation. You can make that argument. It's different among different races, but everywhere you look in America, you see division. And here's the only thing that I've seen that's been able to get people to agree on. It ain't the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? Because women ain't even watching Super Bowl like that no more. Because people ain't having Super Bowl parties. It ain't. politics or Trump or religion or God and none of that. It ain't even love of America or patriotism. You know what I'm saying? Being completely honest. The one thing that I'm starting to see people agree on is that this is the one thing people are agreeing on, starting to agree on. That people who violate children should be severely punished. That's the one thing I see people agree on. Now, people may blame different people for the Epstein stuff and all that, but if you can get past that and say, all right, well, what should happen to these people? Excuse me. Whatever you say, people agree with. You can make it as extreme as possible. People will say they'll justify it. They like, they'll say stuff like this. Well, I wouldn't have said that, or I wouldn't have done that. But if it happened, I wouldn't be mad. You see what I'm saying? So if you said, for example, and I'm gonna be honest, they have, I can talk almost freely because they've taken me out the algorithm. Okay, because I've released stuff that I didn't monetize, and I see how many people have watched that, and then I got stuff that I monetize, and I see how many people watch that. So I see what it is. If you say, for example, that people who violate children, you don't mind if they walk in front of ongoing traffic during rush hour, no one would disagree. Right? Now, no one's going to say, I would push the person right into said traffic. But if you say, I wouldn't mind them doing it, walking into the traffic, no one would disagree. Right? So the only thing that I've seen that seems to unite people, or people can agree upon, is that people who violate children should be punished severely. Now, some people will say they should go to jail for longer sentences, and I agree with that. Some people would say, no, they should just be turned over to the community for community justice. I agree with that too. Some people say we should have a special strike force that just shows up at their door and interrogates them harshly. I agree with that too. Anything you say that should happen to said people who have done these crimes are so heinous, I can't even really describe some of the stuff. I also don't recommend you to look up some of the stuff, being completely honest. Because some of the stuff I've seen and the description of some of the stuff I've seen it's insane. And I'm going to tell y'all how bad it is. This is how bad it is, right? A few days ago, I had read some of this stuff about what they were doing to these girls, right? And it was about 3 incidents that just reading about it just shook me. And then they claimed they had videos of it. I'm good. And it shook me so bad that when I went out the next day, I came across, because in DC, like, there are always children having field trips to, like, if you go down near the Smithsonian area or whatever, there's always children there on field trips and stuff like that. So I saw a group of girls that were somewhere between, I say, 12 and 14. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard for me to gauge because I'm getting old and kind of everybody kind of looks extra young. But they were around that age. And normally, when I'm going through, I don't even really notice these people other than, there's some young people in there and they're going to make noise like that. But when I looked at them, and I thought, the first thing I thought is, and these were girls of different races and stuff, and most of them European, and which is actually what struck me. I said, wow, these are the type of girls they were targeting. these young ladies are the type of girls, we would call them young ladies, that they were targeting. These are the type of young ladies that they would victimize. And I don't know. It made it more real for me. You understand what I'm saying? Because you look at them, they're full of life, and they're doing whatever they're doing, and laughing, giggling with each other, and talking about whatever they're talking about. They doing their thing. I don't know what they were doing. They're doing their thing. And I'm like, why would somebody, and as much as radical as I am, and as much as I do not like our enemies and would like to see them destroyed, my thought was, why would somebody target little girls like these? And then what really struck me is girls who were significantly younger than these girls. That was the part that's crazy, because these girls were, like I said, I would say, what used to be junior high school, but it would be middle school and maybe up to 9th grade. But some of Epstein's victims were half the age of these girls, right? They don't talk about that. They try to make it like everybody's like all the girls were teenagers about to turn. Nah, that's a lie. And so when I saw that, before the Straight Black Pride of Brother Tony, it made it real. And what it made me think is, if they will do that to them, then as Black people, we should not be of the assumption that just because we don't, in the files, they haven't shown directly a targeting of Black people in America or Black girls in America, we shouldn't assume that a part of this organization, which I think Epstein was a node in a larger international ongoing criminal conspiracy, human trafficking organization, including organ trafficking, child sex trafficking, and other things. We shouldn't assume that just because this node of the operation focused in on European girls mostly and some boys, that we shouldn't assume that our children are safe. Because number one, we know our children are safe, because the number of missing girls that we have is insane. Number two, we don't have a community to defend ourselves from outside attack. It's plain and simple. So we're more susceptible to this type. In fact, they don't have to be as sophisticated as Epstein's operation was, right? So I say all that to say is that this is the one issue, the one thing that everybody can agree on, is that people who violate children should be punished as severely as and at whatever creative means we can come up with. They should be dealt with, regardless of their position, regardless of whatever. Well, the problem with that, brother, is that we know for a fact that we have black serial killers who targeted Black women, like in Cleveland. So, I mean, that's nice to say, but that's not actual fact. You know what I'm saying? Now, can we extrapolate and say we do heinous things because we've been around the heinous people? Absolutely. But one thing a careful study of history has shown me is that, though, if we put it like this, the hats are satanic and systematic in their sadistic nature. Excuse me. Other Europeans are more haphazard and barbaric in their nature, right? When you see something sophisticated, it's not the average European. It's just not, and that's not what they do. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna sit over here and say they're not smart enough. I'm just saying that they're more chaotic in their nature. Like when you see, for example, an attack on Rosewood, that was more chaos. That was them just being barbarians. When you see laws implemented, that's where you can find a hat underneath all that. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, just as an example, the fact of how unions came about to take our knowledge of trades from us and give it to Europeans. That's a hat operation. Samuel Conference is a hat. The skilled labor in America in the late 1800s and early 1900s was black people, because we were the main labor in America, period. The people that were coming over from Europe didn't have no skills, right? And one of the tricks to that is, that black people did iron work, because you can find Adinkra symbols in iron work to this day. You can go and look at somebody's fence and find the Sankofa symbols, right? I've talked about that before. So we don't have to debate that. We encoded our culture into the very fabric of this society in a way that Europeans won't even recognize, and most of us who have forgotten ourselves won't recognize. You see what I'm saying? If you don't understand it, Adinkra, you'll walk right past it and won't know what it is. But now we don't have the skills to do that, because the hats took the skill from us and gave it to the European, just like they're taking it from the European and giving it to the Hispanic. We seeing that happen in real time. Hispanics come over here, go to a makeshift trade school to learn how to do construction, and go out here and take all the construction jobs. They don't just take it from black men, they taking it from white men. I've seen it. I've seen these operations. I've seen it take place in DC. So we can't say that the European's gonna take jobs from himself. Nah, the job that comes from the hat. You see what I'm saying? So anyway, the question for today was, as I've gone off on a 20-minute tangent, is Mossad connected to, is Israel, Epstein connected to the Mossad in Israel? That's the question. So I'm gonna go back to an article from 6 years ago now, right? That I talked about 4 years ago. So let's get into it. This is from the Middle East Monitor. This is from June of 2020. Says wait a minute, hold up. Let's try it again. Reading is fundamental. The case of convicted sex offender and child violator Jeffrey Epstein has taken another dramatic twist. Former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak has been named in sealed court documents, along with several close associates of the deceased financier, of having intercourse with one of the underage girls Epstein trafficked. Prior to his quote unquote death last year in a maximum security U.S. prison, under what many consider to be extremely dubious circumstances, Epstein masterminded a sex trafficking network which ensnared some of the most powerful people in the world. A recent book, Epstein, Dead Men Tell No Tales, even made the bombshell allegation, although I don't know what's a bombshell allegation, that the former socialite and girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, were in fact Israeli spies. Ari Ben Menashe was cited as Epstein's Mossad handler, while the 66-year-old ran a honey trap operation in which he provided young girls to prominent politicians from around the world for intimacy, and then used the material, including video and audio, and pictures to blackmail them in order to attain information for Israeli intelligence. Now, we're going to stop right there. Now, how many of you all remember that we first talked about this in, I guess, 2022? And Brother, you got ripped off says, Africans have been swimming in a sea of insanity for over 1,000 years. We can't expect to still have the sovereign mindsets we had 2,000 years ago. That goes without saying. So I don't know how many people remember that we talked about this before with the same article, which is why I brought it up, because we talked about this years ago. Why they're claiming that this is not the case. In the latest, Swiss U.S. lawyer Alan Dershowitz, we know what kind of name that is, who was accused of, oh, hold up. By the way, brother, you got ripped off. If you still out there, can you let them know, Telegram, that we're here having this discussion, whichever groups that I didn't cover that you feel are appropriate. Appreciate you. Hold up, my bad. In the latest twist, U.S. lawyer Dershowitz, who was accused by Virginia Roberts Guthrie, one of Epstein's victims, of being trafficked to the 81-year-old. I forgot that part. So, yeah, they don't talk about that. He's been accused. He's been running around on TV and whatnot and saying all this stuff. He's been accused. Okay. To the 81-year-old, obtained documents naming Barack along. That's Ehud Barak. That's not Barack Hussein. I don't want people to get confused. Ehud Barak, the former prime minister of Israel, along with a number of other important men, of being part of Epstein's scheme. The documents are part of an ongoing case between Guthrie and Dershowitz. Now, I like to remind you all that Virginia Guthrie has now been suicided. So she's no longer here, but she named the names that she knew while she was here. Guthrie last year sued Dershowitz for defamation, only to be countersued in response. The celebrity attorney and one of the most powerful pro-Israeli voices in the U.S. strongly rejects claims made by the 36-year-old, and he's trying to clear his name. He no longer has to do that because she's no longer breathing. In what appears to be an attempt to discredit Guthrie by exposing the long list of accusations made by her against prominent figures, Dershowitz's attorney, Howard Cooper, said in the court that the team had in fact already obtained some of the depositions and that Dershowitz identified Barak as one of a number of people accused of crimes. So Dershowitz threw Ehud Barak under the bus. Now that's interesting. Says Guthrie has also alleged that she was violated by Ehud Barak. The following read in response to it. Guthrie offered no proof other than her uncorroborated word. Now let's stop right here, because this is interesting. Because Dershowitz is claiming that there is no evidence to support the fact that Guthrie was violated by Ehud Barak, but now, in light of more files being released, it is taken as a fact that Guthrie was indeed violated by Ehud Barak. And we come to know now that Ehud Barak stayed at Epstein's house and that Israeli intelligence provided security for Ehud Barak at Epstein's house, thus proving that Israel already knew everybody that was going in and out of the establishment, because they were monitoring the house even when Barak wasn't there. So now that we know the truth about that, I would think that Alan Dershowitz would be getting interrogated at this moment, because he's saying, in essence, he said in essence that Jeffrey lied on Barak, but now we know that she didn't lie. She told the truth about Ehud Barak, and thus we can say that she did not lie about Dershowitz, her interactions with Dershowitz, right? So that's something to remember, right? Now, said many of Epstein's victims, like Jeffrey, were still attempting to obtain compensation for the abuse endured at the hands of the late financier. And let me stop right here. You will notice that an attempt to isolate these crimes to individuals and not make it a systematic, ongoing, global operation. Before they straight black pride of brother Elijah, right? So they're trying to just make this was about Epstein. He's dead. Here's some of the files saying what Epstein did. Now y'all go away. Nah, that's not it. It's bigger than that, right? So a lot of people have focused on the details of what happened and stuff like that. I don't even want to even get into all that because it's too heinous, it's too disgusting, it's too vile. I want to look at the macro. One thing I learned a long time ago, and one of my issues, it's not an issue, but I learned that I'm a macro thinker. The problem with that is there are times when micro stuff needs to be handled, or things need to be seen from a micro level up to the macro instead of from the macro down. And that gives me blind spots at times. This is just what it is. It's why a man is supposed to be married and have someone whose thought processes are the opposite of his, so that they can come to a coherent universal conclusion. But that's another discussion. Now, Barak has strongly rejected the allegation, obviously. His close ties with Epstein, however, have made him vulnerable to attack from political enemies. Israeli current prime minister, and seemingly everlasting leader of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, those who don't know his real name is Milikowski, for example, has used Barak's ties with the financier to attack the former prime minister. After his name was ensnared in the Epstein scandal, Netanyahu, according to the New York Intelligencer, shared a screenshot of an article of an obscure Hebrew language news website that highlighted Epstein's business relationship with billionaire Leslie Wexner. I do not have it. I don't think I can play it. But Wexner, God, man, I hate trying to say this guy's name. Leslie Wexner's attorney basically threatened his life during a deposition that was done 3 days ago. He told him, if you don't stop yammering, you're going to stop breathing. You can look it up. I saw it on Instagram, and I'm like, in fact, Sister Najee sent that to me, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if Sister Najee is still on, but yeah, Sister Najee sent that to me. So if you're on Instagram, hit up Sister Najee, and she can send that to you. So Leslie Wexner, who is deeply connected with Epstein, which everybody knows in the midst of that. I'm not telling you nothing you don't know. He gave a deposition where the Congress people came to his house. He didn't come to Washington, they came to his house. Make of that what you will. Right? So anyway, Netanyahu tries to throw Ehud Barak and Les Wexner under the bus to avoid any connection with himself. Netanyahu also claimed that Barak had attended a party hosted by Epstein in 2016, long after he took a sweetheart plea deal required for him to register as an offender. This was in Florida. And of course, Epstein, who was facing charges for trafficking minors, was found deceased, allegedly, in his New York prison cell on August 10th. According to official reports, he unalived himself. But there was much speculation and evidence put forward that he was, in fact, removed, with many stating that he may have been removed due to his knowledge of the figures he blackmailed. Now, we're going to go to our next article, which is also from Middle East Monitor. But this is from a week ago, I guess, or about. It says FBI informant believed Jeffrey Epstein had links to Israeli intelligence, newly released documents show. Now, this is just telling us what we already knew 6 years ago. But what's going to be funny is, as we go through it, the same names and the same people are going to pop up again. It says an undercover FBI informant became convinced that Epstein was an Israeli spy. Now, stop right there. They didn't say, I've never said that he was an Israeli spy. I said he was a Mossad asset, right? Let's see. Brother, you got ripped off is, okay, he's putting it here. He says he's giving us the play-by-play. Says Leslie Wexner's attorney was caught on a hot mic during his deposition before the House Oversight Committee on February 20th. Whispering to the billionaire, I'll blink and delete you if you answer another question with more than 5 words. Okay. The exchange occurred more than 4 hours into a nearly 5-hour deposition as Wexner, founder of L Brands and Victoria's Secret, was questioned about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Thank you, brother. You got ripped off for that succinct summation of what took place. Now, back to the article. Says the government record recounts the informant, known in government speak as a confidential human source, recalling that Epstein's attorney, Alan Dershowitz, told then U.S. Attorney of the Southern District of Florida, Alexander Acosta, that Epstein belonged to both U.S. and Allied intelligence services. Now, hold up. Let's stop right here. Because I don't even have it, but I just recently heard. If I find the video, I'm gonna put it up. I'm gonna chop this and I'm gonna put it up. Y'all know how I do. When I can find videos and stuff, I do that. Because if I'm not mistaken, and I'm sure, brother, you got ripped off, is gonna look for it as soon as I say it. Alan Dershowitz literally just said, I can't say he just said it because I don't know when he said it, but I just saw it yesterday, right? That if Epstein was part of an intelligence service, that he would have been, directly he said an Israeli intelligence service. He didn't say in it. He said Israeli intelligence service, that he would have walked out of court and out of jail scot-free. This Alan Dershowitz said this about Epstein. But here on the record, the court record, in 2009, that Epstein belonged to U.S. and Allied intelligence services, and the Allied intelligence service is Mossad. So, was he lying then or is he lying now? Right? Because now he's claiming there's no way that that's the case, but then he said it on the record, on the court record. So, one thing has been established. Alan Dershowitz is a liar, right? Like that part, we can we can see and agree to, because he contradicted himself publicly. Right? Now let's get back into the article. It says CHS shared phone calls between Dershowitz and Epstein, during which he or she took notes. After these calls, Mossad would then call Dershowitz to debrief. The Mossad would call Dershowitz to debrief. Epstein was close to the former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Barak, and trained as a spy under him, the document says. Noting that Barak believed Netanyahu was a criminal, became convinced that Epstein was a co-opted Mossad agent amid regional rivalries involving Israel. So this is what we have here. Everyone keeps saying that Epstein is part of different organizations, but what it looks like is Epstein was a Mossad asset who was working for different Israeli intelligence organizations and playing both sides of a political rivalry within Israel. That's what's happening, right? And see, this is something on the outside we don't get to see. We don't get to see the political intrigue between different factions of Israeli politics, and certainly not from a intelligence perspective, right? So that's what's going on here that nobody wants to talk about. Now, it says, however, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Friday stated that Epstein did not work for Israel. Now, why would he say that? Well, one, because he apparently didn't work for him. Two, all of the crimes of Epstein would fall at Israel's lap, and they don't want to claim that because the crimes are despicable. Right? Now, three, according to the Talmud, the Jewish person can lie to the non-Jewish person or goy. We're going to get into that later on. Brother, you got ripped off, don't let me forget. Now, the latest batch of Epstein-related documents released by the Justice Department last week mentions several high-profile figures, including Dershowitz, as well as members of political and financial so-called elites. Epstein, of course, we know what happened to him, right? So we'll go to the article where he says, in fact, we don't have to, because we covered that. This is Benjamin Milikowski, aka Netanyahu, lying. And y'all gonna say, how you know he's lying, DC? Because he's talking. He's always lying. Whenever he's talking, he's lying. That's all I'm gonna say. Right? So we don't gotta read this article because it rehashes what we said. Now, you're gonna ask me about the lying part. So here are some select quotes from the Babylonian Talmud, which is actually the holy book of certain Jewish people, right? Now, everybody may not believe in the Talmud that's Jewish, but almost everyone who is Jewish has been taught out of the Talmud, right? So, the only reason we're going through this is because we are setting an example and an understanding of how the religious zealot or even the political zealot who's a Zionist thinks of other people, right? So according to Sanhedrin 59a, it states, unaliving the goyim, which is the non-Jewish person, is like killing a wild animal. Hey man, I don't write this stuff. I've just gone and found different passages from different documents. These are some of the things that they're saying. This is what they say, par for the course, right? Tesfeta Aboda Zara B5. If a goy unalives a goy or a Jew, he, the goy, is responsible. But if the Jew kills a goy, he is not responsible. You understand what I'm saying? Now, this is not me. These are the rabbis of the Jewish tradition who wrote this information around between 500 and 600 common era. So this is going back 1500 years ago. So this is an established part of their tradition and a part of their belief processes. Let's go down here to the bottom. The Shulchan Aruch 3348 says, all property of other nation belongs to the Jewish nation, which consequently is entitled to seize upon it without any scruples. Now, you're going to say, DC, how can you prove that Zionists believe in that? The Greater Israel Project. That's how I can prove it. The Greater Israel Project. If you look at, as an example, if you look at Ukraine now, the president of Ukraine is Jewish, as we have said before, right? He has allowed, in the midst of war, Jewish immigrants to come in and replace the population of Ukrainians that are being killed by Russians. And they have seized their property without any scruples. Because the people who left property, they've had to flee, and some people have been killed and stuff like that. Right? There was a plan, according to the Zionists with Theodore Herzl's group, there was a plan to claim Uganda as the new homeland of the Jewish people back in the late 1800s. But they don't claim that Palestine or Israel was in Uganda, but they were going to claim that territory anyway. This was before they claimed Palestine. And they were going to claim it without any scruples. Also, we've seen that, for example, when Hamas allegedly unalived Jewish people, the Jewish people were outraged. But when the Jewish people kill the Palestinians who aren't even connected to Hamas, because they unalive babies and all types of stuff, there is no, they're as far as they're concerned, they're not responsible. Who did they blame? They literally unalive the people on, you can see it on Telegram channels and all types of stuff, and then they blame Hamas. Because why? Because if a goy kills a goy or a Jew, he is responsible. But if the Jew kills a goy, he is not responsible. So this is not stuff I'm making up or I pulled from out of the sky. But the fact of the matter is, the actions of the Israeli people show us they live it out. They living out their religion. This is what they do. Those who believe in this. Right? Let's look at this one. If it can be proven that someone has given the money of Israelites to the Goyim, a way must be found after prudent consideration to wipe him off the face of the earth. So just giving money that they say belongs to them to someone else is grounds for being removed from the planet. So I'm only bringing this up so we can see the type of people we're dealing with here, right? No one else is going to really put this on the table like this. Let me make sure y'all put a 1 if I'm still on, I haven't been disconnected, right? I just wanted to make sure. Because we get as people say, deep in the weeds here. But we're dealing with real talk. Now, this one here, when the Messiah comes, every Jew will have 2,800 slaves. I've heard they've talked about this on camera. You go to Israel and they're wearing their black and white, and you know how they dress in their little hats and their big hats, and they're asking these people, and they talk about this, and they say the Messiah will kill 2/3 of the people, and the other 1/3 will be enslaved, and each individual Jewish person will have 2,800 slaves. What you want me to do about it? This ain't my plan. Let's look at Yebamoth 11b. It says, intercourse with a little girl is permitted if she is 3 years of age. This ain't what this. I don't advocate this stuff. All of this, I don't believe in none of this stuff. This Torah, none of this. All of this is insane. But this is their part of the religious doctrine. And then let's look at Slazov Yusabat, the book of Joreh, Dia 17. A Jew should and must make a false oath when the Goyim ask if our books contain anything against them. I mean, what y'all want me to do? Let's look at this one. This is Nishrak Talpiov, page 225L. Jehovah created the non-Jew in human form so that the Jew would not have to be served by beasts. The non-Jew is consequently an animal in human form and condemned to serve the Jew day and night. What y'all want me to say? Let's look at this one. We talk about Epstein. Living out his religion. It says a Jew may violate but not marry a non-Jewish girl. It doesn't even say woman, it says girl. So when people try to say that Epstein isn't connected to Israel, well, he's certainly living out the Talmud. I can tell you that much. But don't nobody want to talk about that part. See, don't want to get into the real. What did what my man AZ say? No, it was Ice Cube. What did Ice Cube say? Reality. That's what they running from. But that was Ice Cube, who kind of suspect, not with any of this stuff, but just with his behavior toward Dr. Khalid Abdul-Muhammad. So if we really look at it from that lens, the religious lens, we can see that Epstein is very, very Jewish in his actions and living out the Talmud. I mean, not the Talmud, excuse me, the Talmud. You know what I'm saying? Very much so. Not the Torah, brother. They don't live by the Torah. They live by the Talmud. I know that's what you meant, though. Because they all taught it. We don't understand as Black people because we don't have a belief system and an indigenous belief system that we all believe in and that we all teach from. So it's hard for us to understand that. This is what they teach their children. Now, whether the children live it out is up to them. But as we see, some of the children live it out better than some other ones, right? That's the reality of the situation. So I just wanted to bring that up because no one else is going to talk about it and put up real information on the type of people we're dealing with. Because now you can understand a little clearer why these people do what they do, because it's part of their religious belief system. The same reason why Israeli soldiers, we talked about this, at least I thought we did, would violate Palestinian prisoners, because it's part of their belief system. The Zionists wholeheartedly believe in the stuff that I've shown. The non-Zionists were taught it from birth and haven't condemned it in any way by means of action. That's all I'm gonna say. So what I'm gonna do is I am the sister Najee said she got ads while I was breaking down the Talmud. Brother, you got ripped off. I'm waiting for your super chat to come through, because it didn't come through. If it's a super chat or a super sticker, either way, it didn't come through. So I'm waiting for that to come through. because I'm about to take a break and try to get my voice together. Because as you see, my voice is going out just talking about reading the vile, disgusting words that came out of my mouth. Okay, you said, oh, the super sticker. All right, appreciate it, bro. Now, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna play this advertisement, take a break, and then we're gonna come back and get into this next article, which is insane. And you can see what it says, and it's just insane. It's insane that this article is here, that this is even a discussion. And we're gonna read it to see if it's even real after we come back.
Now, we're going to go and talk about AIPAC. What is AIPAC? The American Israel Public Affairs Committee. AIPAC. What does AIPAC do? AIPAC is the gangster with a whole lot of money that says, I'm going to buy you and pay you money, and you're going to make decisions that I want you to make. You're gonna do as I tell you, because I got my hands in your pockets. And they attached to people like Jeffrey Epstein, who take videos of the people that are supposed to be our representatives, and as they take those videos, they hold them hostage and say, vote as I tell you to vote. Do as I tell you to do.
I didn't even, the concept. I saw Naeem Akbar talking that black talk he gave, and I was out there telling everybody, but this dude gay. You remember back in the 90s, people hating me. Oh, this dude gay, man, we can't do this. You can't be up there talking black and be gay too. I was like, okay, he out the way. No, we're not doing this. I'm saying this because I did not imagine a time, little old me from Southeast, where if they tell us to take a jab, stick ourselves, I'm gonna be the only one that wanna say something. Maybe the brother out in Whitaker, brother Darren, we got a few brothers, but I'm talking about like, I'm thinking whatever they tell us to do, we got black people who studied under these people, we gonna say no. Or we gonna at least wanna investigate. I'm thinking it'll always be that way. I'm thinking if somebody's pushing this stuff, R. Kelly molesting children, we're gonna deal with this dude. I'm thinking everybody's gonna agree with that because you don't mess with children.
That's right.
That's what I thought was, that's just how I thought we were. That is who we are intrinsically, but I'm saying, I didn't imagine a world where I'm saying, don't vote for this dude. It's a trick. Come on, y'all. He's a mulatto who didn't grow up around black people. He a gay dude. He gonna push homosexuality. Y'all can't see this? I'm thinking, I'm telling y'all before he get in office, what are you talking about? And people who are the hardest nosed people in African nationalism, the hard ones, looking at me, nah, you can't do that, dude. Y'all don't see this? I'm actually the only one that's gonna say, yo, you don't see. And then when he gets in and does what I say he does, okay, I saw. You messed up the first time. Okay, I saw. I'm thinking, okay, but now he going back for office. He done already made gay marriage legal. Mm-hmm. All right, now you get it. The dude, I told you he was a punk, he was a gump in the beginning. Mm-hmm. I still couldn't conceive. No, dude, if you're looking for somebody else to do it, you ain't studied the lessons of history. When you're passionate and pulled to do something and can't stop, it's a message being given to you. Ain't nobody coming. You gotta believe in yourself because somebody decided that you was supposed to do something. So you can't turn it off and stop looking for people. You just gotta do what you do. We looked in the past, 1972. I was born in 1973. I'm almost 50 years old. I'm 50 in December. A year before I got here, they must have known I was coming. They said, let's get this thing out here now before you get here. they did what's called the Gay Rights Platform of 1972. This is just official document, sharing information. If you read, go look it up online for yourself. They're making it difficult to find. I don't know if people have been noticing this, but things that you used to get easily go and put it on the internet and find them, you can't find this stuff no more. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff you can't find. But I'm gonna bring your attention to just one. It's a bunch of stuff. All of it's aimed at children. Sex education of children, adoption, gay adoption of children. But there's one that's most important for what we're talking about today. And they break it down from the federal level and the state level. On the state level, they say every single state, they want laws repealing all laws governing the age of sexual consent. I'm gonna say that again. They want the repeal of all laws governing the age of sexual consent. Meaning a newborn baby, they want it to be legal to have sexual contact with a newborn baby. What year did I say? 1972. That's 51 years ago. Fast forward 21 years from then to 1993. In the interest of producing that result, they had right downtown, 30 minutes, not even 30 minutes if there's no traffic, go right up here, East Capitol, go all the way up the road, you run right into it. They had the 1993 Gay Rights March on Washington. Let's see what that was about.
Check one.
Did y'all hear what they just said? Do I need to play that again? He said, don't play it again. He said, no, thank you. All right, I want to do this again. They said, we're young, we're queer. We're going to do what? We're going to rule the world. Now remember, 21 years before that, what did they say that they wanted for children? Repeal all laws governing the age of sexual consent. They want to have sex with children and make it totally legalized. 21 years after they said that, they said, we're young, we're queer, we're going to rule the world. That was in 93. This is 30 years after that. So they've had 30 years to say we're queer, we're going to rule the world, which at that point they said, we haven't gotten to the point where we rule the world, because if they did, they wouldn't be saying that. They would say, we're young, we're queer, and we rule the world. They didn't say that. We're young, we're queer, we're going to rule the world and have it our way.
All right, brothers and sisters, we are back. I apologize for the abrupt ending of get to this, because I almost forgot about this. Listen, if you've been following me for a long time, I don't know why. You've been following me for a long time, you know that I've talked about this in lectures in person, as well as Brother Jimmy. I did not connect Epstein to this at the time because he wasn't majorly on the radar in connection with this. But this is for February 9th, last week. Epstein files reveal 2015 email linking Bill Gates, Jeffrey Epstein to global pandemic preparedness conference. Now, 2015 is when the year, ironically, the Straight Black Pride started. 5 years before that, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation had an event, and they claimed the 2010s would be the decade of vaccines, right? So now we see that Jeffrey Epstein was involved in this 10-year plan by the Gates Foundation to make that the decade of vaccines. And we see that indeed, in reality, it's the 2020s that became the decade of vaccines, but it was a culmination of a 10-year plan. So let's get into it. It says Epstein files reveal a 2015 email inviting Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein to a high-level pandemic preparedness conference in Geneva, Switzerland. This is part of the World Economic Forum, by the way. I don't know why they don't show that, but whatever. Okay, let's see the full article instead of seeing these people. It says, while the correspondence shows no wrongdoing, it has renewed scrutiny amid broader debates around COVID-19, Event 201, and global health governance. The recently released Epstein files show an email corresponding with billionaire Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein were invited by Terje Rod Larsen, a Norwegian diplomat and former president of the International Peace Institute, for an international conference in Geneva on preparing for pandemics, lessons learned for more effective responses. Now, this sounds a hell of a lot like Event 201, but we're going to read the article to see if we wait a minute. We went too far, my bad. The mail appeared to be in preparation for, based on previous challenges faced by the international community of Ebola and polio. Margaret Chan, director of the World Health Organization, Peter Maurer, president of the ICRC, Michael Moeller, acting head of the UN office in Geneva, and Kevin Rudd, former prime minister of Australia, were all part of the conference. Now, it doesn't say whether or not that conference was part of the World Economic Forum, but I would not be surprised. So I'm just going to ask how many people were familiar with that. And let's look at the implications of this. We know that Jeffrey Epstein is a sadistic individual who has no regard for non-Jewish life, because Virginia Guthrie said that Ghislaine Maxwell basically, in an interaction they had, Ghislaine Maxwell basically told her, yeah, what you care about is irrelevant because you're not a Jew, basically. That was part of Virginia Guthrie's book. So for us to think that Ghislaine Maxwell had that view and that Epstein didn't would be crazy. So that tells us that Bill Gates is piling around with a person who, as we read in the Talmud, believes that non-Jewish people are animals in human form. Now, we have no documentation that Bill Gates is Jewish, but his obsession with deleting the population, it means that he's accepted that mentality, if nothing else, right? Because he's never going to Israel to test this stuff, but he's testing it in Kenya and all types of places like that. If you watch Brother JD's discussion in Kenya, he talks about that. He shows video of what Bill Gates vaccines have done to Kenyan girls. The Catholic Church in Kenya had to investigate tetanus vaccines that had birth control elements in them. And I can't even remember the year, but that's been maybe 10 years ago now, maybe longer than that. Might have been 2009. I can't be 100% sure. I can't recall completely. So that's Bill Gates. And he's hanging around with Epstein. Going to conferences on preparedness for pandemics, which we just so happen to have within 5 years after that, a global pandemic that forced everyone to take vaccines that Bill Gates had invested in and had been investing in the research for 10 years because he said it's a decade of vaccines. Are we starting to see how small circle of evil is, but how vast the conspiracy is and how much they're able to affect the lives of everybody? If you took the jab, you are connected some type of way with Jeffrey Epstein. And y'all gonna say, oh, DC, man, I mean, you know, the jab don't have, look at the people that were involved. Tal Zaks, Albert Bourla, and these other people with Pfizer and these other companies. Just so happen to have CEOs that happen to be of the same belief system, same cultural background, right? All right, let's go here real quick because I think I'm running out of time. Right? This space, I don't think I got much more time to be in this space. Says Israeli installed security at Epstein's Manhattan apartment for Ehud Barak. You just go through this quickly. It says, just to show that I'm not making up stuff. The Israeli government installed security equipment and controlled access to a Manhattan apartment building managed by the late Jeffrey Epstein, allegedly, according to DropSite News. Based on a tranche of emails recently released by the United States Department of Justice, the report detailed how Israeli officials coordinated directly with Epstein staff starting in early 2016 to secure a residence at 301 East 66th Street in New York City, in Manhattan, New York City. Former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak frequently used the apartment for extended stays. While the property was technically owned by a company linked to Epstein's brother, Mark Epstein, the disgraced financier essentially controlled it. The units in the building were frequently loaned to Epstein's associates and used to house underage models, the report said. So his whole operation was operating out of here. This was if he was a drug trafficker, this would be a stash house, right? That's it. So Israeli intelligence is setting up surveillance to protect the equivalent of a stash house for child trafficking. I don't know what else I got to say. The evidence speaks for itself. So the idea that Mr. Epstein is connected to someone other than Israel, and believes in something other than the Babylonian Talmud, I find to be quite ludicrous. And I'm simply I'm a layman. I'm a person that hasn't even gone and haven't had the time and access to just sit down and go through file after file after file after file. And I can put this stuff together. Because actually I started looking at it before they started releasing the files. Some of this stuff was already put out there. They're just confirming some of the information that we knew. Right? He said, look, this says Groff later confirmed to Barak and Priel that Epstein had personally authorized the physical alterations to the property. Writing, Jeffrey says he does not mind holes in the walls and all that's just fine. I mean, look. In a January 2016 email exchange, Barak's wife, Nellie Priel, discussed the installation of alarms and surveillance tools with Epstein's longtime assistant, Leslie Groff. Priel noted the system includes sensors on the windows and remote access capabilities. They can neutralize the system from far before you need somebody to enter the apartment, Friel wrote. The only thing is to call Rafi from the consulate and let him know. So call the dude that works in the Israeli consulate to let him know who and when is entering. I don't even know what else to say. And this is going to be the last article. I'm going to try to get through this quickly. This is from the Financial Times. It says how the House of Rothschild became entangled with Epstein. Now, I am of the belief that way beyond the connections between these two, go way beyond this. But this just gives us the evidence. It says Edmund the Rothschild Group was in trouble. It was the end of 2015. Man, a lot of stuff happened in 2015 and 2016. My goodness. After months of turmoil. All right. Y'all can still hear me, right? Am I still broadcasting? Because I haven't seen any interaction in the chat. Y'all let me know. Make sure I ain't talking to myself. Let me know I ain't talking to myself in here. But yeah. Says at the end of 2016 and after months of turmoil, the Swiss private bank owned by a branch of the Rothschild dynasty was closing in on a multi-million-dollar settlement with the U.S. Department of Justice. Again, here we go with the Department of Justice, the Department of Injustice at this point, for its part in helping rich Americans hide their assets. Of course they did. I wonder who those rich Americans were. Anyway, behind the scenes, the group's French chief, Ariane de Rothschild, had tasked Jeffrey Epstein and the lawyer he had introduced her to, Kathy Rumler, with closing the deal. 45 million. The Rothschild asked Epstein in December 2015 email exchange. He replied, counting the $10 million fee for the lawyers involved and $25 million for myself, I think you will find that all less than 80 million is pretty good. She said, deep thanks, the Rothschild answered. Days later, the U.S. Department of Justice announced a $45 million settlement with Edmund de Rothschild Bank. Epstein's pivotal and lucrative role in the DOJ deal is just one example of the deep ties he cultivated with the Baroness, who had married into the Rothschild family, but now ran a financial group which, as of 2024, had 184 billion Swiss francs in assets between its private banking and asset management arms. It took me a minute. You don't see the symbol for Swiss francs very often. Over the 6 years of their relationship from 2013 until 2019, Epstein became a personal confidant as well as key business advisor, giving him a privileged position of influence at the heart of one of Europe's most powerful banking families. One of Europe's? I think that's an understatement. If they're not, I don't know who is. Right? Now, I know Baroness Ariane de Rothschild is very important, Leslie Groff wrote in 2014. In Geneva, Edmund de Rothschild occupies a distinctive position, neither a universal bank like UBS, nor a pure boutique, but a storied private banking house with deep roots in the city's wealth management ecosystem. At the start of 2015, when Benjamin de Rothschild handed operational control of his father's bank to his wife, it was, however, in crisis. Ariane de Rothschild later told Financial Times, it wasn't my aim to be chief executive of Edmund de Rothschild, insisting she only agreed to step into the role to show the family's commitment as shareholders amid the DOJ probe and a wider restructuring. But she had discussed the move with Epstein in advance, had a long talk with him. He accepts leaving all the subsidiaries boards and stay on holding Geneva, Paris, me as interim CEO with strategic committee that Rothschild wrote in 2014, weeks before the announcement. Good, Epstein replied. Next discussion, estate plan. Benjamin de Rothschild remained chair of the group until his death from a heart attack in 2021 at the age of 57. That is young. But from the time of her appointment as president of the executive committee in 2015, it was clear that Ariana, maybe it's Ariana, I don't know, was in charge. After securing the DOJ settlement in the months that followed, the Rothschild led efforts to restructure the bank's operations, moved to cement her power internally, and launched a lawsuit against her husband's cousin, David de Rothschild, over who could use the family name, all with Epstein's advising in the background. Hey, let me say something real quick, bro. I'm going to say something. Whenever a player like Epstein is talking to your girl/wife, you're in trouble. I'm just, look, I ain't saying that he was getting his freaky ego on with the Rothschild lady. I'm not saying that because I don't want to be subject to no lawsuit. I'm just saying this guy having personal correspondence with your girl is not a good idea. You know what I'm saying? And as we see, she took his advice and obviously considered him a close confidant and friend. Oh, hey, man. Is there some dudes you got to keep away from your girl? That's all I'm saying. So I'm going to tell you what this show, for brothers out there and others out there, I don't care how much money you got, somebody will have influence over your girl if she's open to it. That's all I'm saying. It says, I'm freaking out and scared I won't be up to the job that Rothschild wrote in February 2015, shortly after taking over leadership of the bank. You never have to hide from me. I can listen and advise or just listen. There's nothing you can tell me that shocks me, he said in another message in May. Bruh, he's macking on this woman. He's looking at her insecurities and dealing with her psychologically in order to open up a space for him to be able to do what he needs to do to get what he needs to get. Look, this dude, this is dirty macking. You know what I'm saying? Like, Epstein is out here dirty macking a Rothschild wife. This is wild when you really think about it. Straight black brother Tony. I mean, this man, y'all understand how wild this is. Now it says there were gifts, visits, and dinners. They swapped lifestyle tips, contacts for her daughter's university admission, holiday ideas, and snippets of their daily lives. From the mundane, the Rothschild had a fabric man for Epstein's upholstery projects and gardens to send his way to the eccentric. Do you know anybody in Cuba that can help me buy tobacco land? The Rothschild asked Epstein. She even forwarded private emails from the patriarch of the London wing of the family, Lord Jacob Rothschild, who spoke about how Palestine became Israel because I believe his uncle. We covered that earlier. In the midst of a sensitive dispute over who could use the family name. The Rothschild and Epstein also discussed concerns about Benjamin de Rothschild in several emails to Ariane de Rothschild. Epstein suggested that private investigators were digging into her husband's alleged substance abuse issues. He pushed her to further sever corporate ties. Now, how does he know about the alleged substance abuse? Probably from Mossad. I think you should prepare a custodian motion against Benjamin and give him the choice of filing the motion or resigning. He is out of control and a danger to you and the family. Benjamin de Rothschild remained in place. Ariana de Rothschild met Epstein as part of her normal functions at the bank. Edmund de Rothschild Group told the Financial Times. Ariana de Rothschild was the only one at the time to understand the magnitude of the issue in the DOJ matter. It added, and Epstein was compensated for providing strategic consulting and support in the bank's overall business development. In particular, he provided strategic advice on managing the dispute resolution process. With the DOJ, Edmund de Rothschild said, The Rothschild had no knowledge of Epstein's personal conduct or the allegations against him. Her representative said, she unequivocally condemns these behaviors and the crimes he committed. She obviously deeply regrets not having known all of this. Epstein would help guide the Rothschild through a further period of tumult for the private bank, which included a reshuffled leadership, a police raid, and a $9 million fine from Luxembourg regulators for money laundering failures in relation to, excuse me, the Malaysian MDB scandal. Bleep is hitting the fan, she wrote in 2016. Epstein had his own ideas on how to reshape the Swiss family group. He encouraged a 2015 approach from UBS, orchestrated early stage conversations with Rockefeller and Company and Julius Baer in 2016 and 2017, and had suggestions for senior hires. Julius Baer said the talks brokered by Epstein were preliminary. The matter was never pursued in detail and soon dropped. He pitched her idea of recruiting Jess Staley, the chief executive of Barclays and another frequent correspondent with Epstein, to the Swiss bank. In the early 2015 exchange, Epstein pushed the Rothschild to hire Rumler, who was then part of Latham and Watkins and had previously been a White House counsel under the Obama administration. Neither Staley nor Rumler joined the Rothschild. Rumler is now general counsel at Goldman Sachs. She didn't have anything to say about this article. It kills me to see you spending your amazing talents as part of the working class. I am sensitive to the family obligations, but you need help. Over and over, I hear that the bank and its reputation powerful is you, but as a one-man band, he wrote in 2017. Man, look, I'm gonna tell you as a man, you know what I'm saying? This is macking. He's macking this woman. Whether he wanted access to her body, he certainly wanted access to her mind and had access to her mind. And we can tell because of this interaction. He's gashing her up, talking about how great she's doing, but talking about the help she needs. Look, I got what you need. I got people that can do, that can help you out, that can make you your job easier, make things better for you. Let me, you know what I'm saying, just holler at me and let me put my skills in effect. Jeffrey Epstein is macking a member of the Rothschild family while her husband is out here apparently or allegedly on drugs. Like, this is like, and you can't make this stuff up. This is like some type of wild. This is like what was those old nighttime soap operas? This is like Dynasty or Falcon Crest or something, right? Like, this whole thing is crazy. But what's the point of me showing me reading this article? Like I said last week, Jeffrey Epstein is the equivalent of the James Bond of PDF files. Able to get access to anyone, anywhere, any amount of money, resources, make connections between people, and help clean up people's messes and charge them exorbitant fees. And it's almost unbelievable. And it would be unbelievable until you put in the fact that this person is obviously an intelligence asset. And that's what allows him the access to resources, the access to people, the ability to fly anywhere, to go anywhere, and to seemingly do virtually anything at any time that he wanted to. You can only do that if you are backed by a sovereign government. And of course, one of the number one things you do when you're in that field is not admit that you're in that field. You know what I'm saying? The number one rule is not to blow your own cover. And apparently, even when Epstein got caught, he never blew his own cover. Right? And so that's why we're having this discussion, because the major media won't tell you any of this stuff. Or they'll present one piece of it, but won't cover the rest. And they won't connect the dots. So I'm just here to connect the dots for you. Right? Like the sheer amount of stuff that Epstein was into, I personally find brain boggling, to be completely honest. So I got a question to ask you all quickly, and then I'm gonna get ready to get out of here. I'm thinking about, for at least the next couple of weeks, doing the center as a daytime, in essence, daytime news commentary show. So this will be around sometime between noon and 2 during the day. If that's something that y'all are interested in, y'all let me know. And I also will still do the weekend show that we're starting to do now. And then 2, I want to get back to doing SBL talk in March. So if that's something that y'all are interested in, let me know. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a poll up on YouTube, and then y'all can answer the poll. And lastly, let me just say this. If you follow me on Instagram, I've been shadow banned. I've been stopped from doing certain things on my account, and I wasn't able to message anybody for the last 3 days. Apparently now I can message people. So if you've been trying to message me on Instagram and I haven't been responding, it's because they barred me for 3 days from sending any DMs, any direct messages. So that's over now. So I wasn't ignoring you. I wasn't disregarding you. They blocked me from being able to send any messages. That's what happened with that. So speaking of that, you can follow me on Instagram at dc.radical1, on Twitter at dc_radical_one, on OTW2 at dcradical1. You would like to donate, you can donate via Cashapp, $dcradical1, or via Zelle at straightblackpride_DC at protonmail.com. You can also email me there. And I'm going to say this. I know I say this all the time. It is what it is. Right now, this channel, speaking of being banned, we pretty much have been taken out of the algorithm. The stuff that I put up that doesn't get monetized gets more views than the stuff that gets monetized. I am going to try to advertise more when the show is coming on more in advance and let people know in advance, and maybe we can get a bigger audience again. But right now, we're not even putting up half the audience that we have put up before. I'm going to take some of the responsibility for that, because I know we haven't been stable with what we're doing without question. I understand that. That's just the circumstances I'm dealing with personally at the time. It is what it is. But I'm going to need the assistance of the audience. 1, for y'all to tell me when you would like the programs. 2, or when y'all be available or amenable or whatever. And 2, what subject matter you would like to be covered. That's the assistance I need from you all. And 3, the assistance I would like from you all is to purchase the products that we have in order to help us make the show better. Because ultimately, that's what I want to do. I want to make the show better. I want to be in a setting where we're comfortable, we have good lighting, I can flip on the camera, and I can talk to you all and look relatively presentable. You know what I'm saying? But it's only worth doing those changes and going those extra miles if we get the support. If we don't get the support, right, Like we have a certain amount of members. We get most of our money from YouTube comes from memberships, super chats, and then some of it comes from views. So if we don't get more views, or we don't get more memberships, or we don't get more super chats, or whatever the case may be, then we won't have more programs because they're limiting my views, and that is what it is based upon the subject matter on which I speak, which y'all know me. I'm not going to change the subject matter. I'm not going to not talk about this stuff because I'm the only person that's going to talk about this stuff, to especially to Black people. Non-Black people have people to talk about this stuff on their various channels, on their Rumble and on their this and on their that. Until, I don't know if OTW2, until they do streaming and I can go over there and I can say whatever I want. As long as I'm here on this platform, it is what it is. You see what I'm saying? There's certain things we can't say. There's certain ways we can't say the things that we say. So that's where we are with the situation, right? So the support and stuff we've gotten, I greatly appreciate it. The people who view all the time and show up all the time, and the people that come back and watch 2 or 3 times because they want to get all the information, I appreciate y'all. We just have to find, and part of it is on me, part of it is just bad marketing on my part. We have to find a way to expand the audience outside of the normal routes that YouTube does, because they push what they want, you know? So that's that. Be on the lookout for those polls, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe, especially the share part. Get people that you think they can process this information, because everybody doesn't have the cognitive ability to process the information that we put forward. That's something that I've come to understand. So this ain't, it's not for everybody. It is what it is. Some people don't like long form content, period. But those you think that can handle it, share it with them, right? So what I'm going to, Brother Jenny made another presentation or appearance in South Africa last week. I'm going to try to get that video and put that up on the channel as well. So be on the lookout for that. And there's some other things that have been going on with the AES and stuff like that. I'm going to look into that, and I may do either a show on it or a video on it this week. But I'm going to try to ramp up the frequency of the programs in March. I'm just being completely honest. Things are up in the air. Also, last but not least, I'll talk to Sister Najee. Y'all saw her in the chat. She's doing well. And we're going to discuss when we can collaborate again. And Brother You Got Ripped Off said we need people who don't leave when we put up commercials either. I know, okay, I see. I wasn't even paying attention. Yeah. Stop doing that. I didn't know that was a thing. Yeah, brother. Because those people have purchased that time to support the channel. So I would appreciate you all if you watch it, because it's bad enough that YouTube will throw up their channel, their commercials on stuff when I'm talking. Apparently, when the Sister Najee, when we talked about the Talmud. So, just help us out. If you appreciate the content, help us out. If you don't appreciate the content, I would, being completely honest, I would greatly appreciate it if you told me you don't appreciate the content, so I could either talk about something else or just move on to another form. I can take it. You ain't gonna hurt my feelings at this point, because I've been through all types of stuff. So feelings being hurt ain't something I'm worried about. You know what I'm saying? I'm worried about taking a step off the curve and getting hit by a bus driven by my side. That's, you know what I'm saying? I'm kind of more worried about that than my feelings being hurt. I'm just saying, By the way, I'm going to do the standard thing that people are doing now. I am not suicidal, and I do not have a major health ailment. Okay? I'm going to repeat that again. I am not suicidal, and I do not have a major health ailment. So if anything happens to me, Mossad did it. Period. End of discussion. All right. Do with that information what you will. Yeah, I'm just gonna call it out. I've had to do the Candace Owens. You know what I'm saying? Gotta keep it 100 here, because these people ain't playing fair. Right? I'm just, my whole, the fact that I'm nobody is my best shield. The fact that I'm nobody is my biggest weakness at the same time. It is what it is. But hey, I'm coming in the same spirit as Huey P. Newton, Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad, and the truth tellers and freedom fighter, Minister Malcolm X, and the truth tellers and freedom fighters that we had. And it is what it is. Somebody got to tell the truth. Somebody got to connect the dots. Somebody got to put out the information. Somebody got to inform our people what the heck is going on. And whatever happens after that is what happens. You know what I'm saying? As far as I'm concerned, when my work for the ancestors is done, that'll be it. But I don't think that's now, so I ain't really worried about it. Because there's too much going on. Right? But I mean, everything is real. So with that, brothers and sisters, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for going through my extra raspy voice. Don't ask me what's going on. Actually, I do know what's going on. I don't feel like going into it, but yeah. But right now, the plan is to come back next Saturday at 1 o'clock. I think I'm making 1 o'clock the regular time instead of 12, and do this again. And I can't tell you well, you know what? I feel like I've been talking about this forever too, but I expect the war between the U.S., Israel, and Iran to have started by the time I talk to you next Saturday. Now, I could be wrong, but I expect it to take place this week, right? So we'll talk about that if it's taking place. If it has not taken place, we'll preview it, because I don't see no way for what's my man's name, Mr. Trump, to avoid this war that Mr. Netanyahu wants him to get into. I don't see no way for him to get out. It is what it is. So with that, brothers and sisters, I thank you all for listening. Don't forget to like, share. What do you say, brother? He said war or American suicide. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And let me just say this real quick. And I know I'm doing the Minister Furnicon thing where I'm closing for 20 minutes. But let me say this, man. Let me say this. I could be very wrong, but a lot of people who know way more about foreign policy than I do truly believe that if America goes to full-scale war with Iran, that it will do more damage to America than the whole Iraq, Afghanistan debacle did. I just want y'all to think about that. These are foreign policy, people who were in foreign policy, people who had official jobs, generals, and all types of stuff. All of them are saying this. And yet we seem to be headed straight down that path of destruction. So more than likely, that's going to be my next subject next week, unless something major happens. Also, I got to look into some things going on with the AAS. And like I said, if you have any subjects you'd like me to cover, like stuff dealing specifically with Black America or the Caribbean or wherever people are listening from, either shoot me an email, straightblackpride_DC@protonmail.com, or you can DM me on Instagram. Or you can just, respond here. There is a community section on YouTube, and I got to figure out the intricacies of that, because I don't know the full intricacies of it. But there's a community section that I thought I activated where y'all can interact with each other and send each other stories and messages and stuff like that. So y'all want to get into that, have at it. I'll look at how to activate it, make sure it's activated, and we can do that from there. And I think eventually, think eventually I'm probably going to, if the channel gets big again, I probably will start a maybe on Telegram or something else. Maybe not Telegram, but on something else. Might start a chat or channel just for the YouTube channel. So the people that we can dialogue amongst ourselves away from YouTube. So now I'm done. With that, I say a BB48 and straight black pride.
Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also follow us on our other social media platforms. On Instagram, we're at dc.radical1. On Twitter, we're at dc_radical_ONE. And the Cash App is $DCRadical1. Again, thank you for subscribing. A BB for ODA and straight black pride.